Hello, everybody! Happy Friday! This is Fanny. I hope you're having a great day. Today, I'm doing a special. Actually, I was about to record an interview with Saba for her channel All About Energy, but we had a problem with the sound, and for some mysterious reason, she couldn't hear me. And we tried, and it was like just impossible, this technical problem. So sometimes it's like I always say, right? Sometimes the universe is holding you back for some reason. So I guess we'll re-record that next week. But while I'm already ready to record, I was like, okay, let me make a video, hop online, and say hi. Today is Navy Chief's birthday, so I'm gonna take advantage to say happy birthday to the Chiefs. This is artwork that I painted in 2015 when my ex-husband made Chief. So maybe you don't know a lot about the Navy world, so let me explain to you a little bit. And really, when I was in France, we really have this bad opinion about the military. What you see in the media, the importance of not watching the media or watch really picking, where you find your information, because the media, they are meant to put you in this state of fear, right, of offering crisis, so then they can offer a solution, just like what happened with COVID, right? They create a crisis or a health drama, so then they can sell more vaccines and all of this stuff, right? So when you're watching the news, at least in France, we have all these negative images about the military. When I even met my husband in Peru, my friend was his translator, and she introduced me. She was like, "Oh, I'm going out with this U.S. Navy," and I was like, "Oh, I don't even want to hear about it. Forget, blah blah blah." And then I was like, "Okay, you know what? Let's not be close-minded, and let's meet them." And you know what? Like everywhere else in every sector of the world, you have people that are amazing that actually ended up marrying one, right? And there are some people that are completely crappy, and in every area of life you have and just like you have good parents and you have terrible parents, you have great bakeries and you have horrible bakeries. I mean, let's not just and judge on what you see in the media. This is what I mean, because it's so easy to influence the mind. We don't realize how much our mindset is influenced. And this video is really about building the bridge, right? Because I do the art, but I'm not just about art. It's also about promoting. You see me, I'm always sending a shout out, for the Resonance Science Foundation or the masterminds, Ellen, the Ellen Show, all these people that are in all areas of life are influencers, because even if you have one passion, you have one job or one passion in your life, this is not everything. This is not everything. You have all your other areas of life that matter as well. For example, let's imagine I'm thinking about, for example, the masterminds, right? They are completely about personal development, of helping people. It's their mission, like helping people succeed and become better, and believe in themselves and going past the challenges and stuff like that. And you can tell how much they work, right? They work all the time. Their work becomes their life. It's everything. Just like me, my art, my videos, I never have a holiday. Even when I'm on holidays in Egypt on a cruise, I'm still working, because this is so much passion in what I do that you never really stop. It's like eating, like I was saying in my previous video. You're eating every day the food, so you nourish your soul every day as well. But it's not everything. You also have your family life, you also have your health, you also have your self-confidence. So for example, for me, in the magic, okay, so I want to present my oracle cards as well, my art. You see, this is my book with my art. Let me talk about this one. Look at this page. You see this page, you have like some of the most common symbol, the chakana, which is the Inca cross. This one is the wish pouch. It's a Celtic symbol. This is the Triskelion, which represents the Trinity. This is the yin and yang. It's a Buddhist symbol, but it also carries the energy of Gaia and Kuan Yin. This is called Amazon. It carries the energy of the Amazonian rainforest. So all of this stuff, really, when I started painting, I was like, yeah, it represents this. It represents it symbolically. But what I realized by experience with the time is that they are really magic. Like these symbols, all these cards. If you're interested in having my artwork and you want all of them, you can get my Mother Earth Mandala Oracle. It has 44 cards with all the artworks and the explanation of each of the artworks. And really, they are talisman. They are talisman. They're magical. They work. They open up doors in your life. For example, you see, I'm completely connected to Pachamama. This is the name of my brand, Pachamama Art. And when I went to this cruise in Egypt, guess what? Guess who I had with me on the cruise? This Pachahunai group, right? The shamans from Peru who were there at the Yosoi event. And their logo is a chakana. Then when I make a wish, sometimes I'm like 3 years later, I make a wish, and 3 years later I realize, oh my God, this is all happening, like without even realizing, without even, why I didn't find a job. I was like, I'm such a failure, or I'm promoting my stuff, but no one buys it. I'm such a failure, So all this self-confidence, you acquire it with experience, but you also need the external validations. That's why it's so important to surround yourself, and I always talk about the Resonance Science Foundation, because they scientifically, when you have people that are skeptical, right, about, for example, the flower of life, the frequency of the flower of life. Let's take this one, right? Well, they prove by frequency test, that the flower of life actually raises the frequency of the water. For example, you can have a flower of life, you can have a coaster, for example, or a bottle or a shirt, and our body is made of water, so it will raise the frequency of the water, it will purify the water, it will purify your own energy and stuff like that. So once you have the external validation that literally nobody now can tell me, no, this is just in your mind. No one, because even if for a while I thought myself I was crazy with all this magical stuff happening in my life. And after you have so many people who tell you, oh, this is in your mind, this is... But now no one can tell me that, because I have the scientific proof of it. So my confidence now is 100%, even though you can never be 100%. You always have these days when you're down, but I believe in my stuff because my own experience. So anyways, you get the point, right? So it's really building this bridge that will help in all of your areas of life. Okay? And so back to the Navy, I really had these opinions of like, the governments, they're trying to enslave, this government conspiracy, they're enslaving the masses to control us and sell us medicines. And yes, I guess there was these agendas, right? But more and more, and imagine a government, okay, I'm not here making defense, because of course there are things that are unacceptable, but also sometimes, I've talked about that in my angel pack. Actually, I invite you to register to my masterminds, right? The Metatrons Vibes, the angel pack, I tell you everything. Let's imagine talking about the ETs, right? The ETs, the aliens. Now you watch Gaia TV, Forbidden Knowledge, Navy releases actually files showing UFOs and stuff like that. So there are cover-ups. And so in our mind, it's like, there are cover-ups because they're lying to us and stuff like that. But sometimes it's to protect us, because if the people were not ready, if we were still in this complete division mindset and conspiracy thing, of course, the single cover up or lie, it's gonna be how are people gonna react? There's people who are gonna react with anger. There's people who are gonna react by fear. So it took time. It took time. Imagine the Navy revealing, okay, we are in contact in Area 51. We have contact with these extraterrestrial beings, and we actually connect by telepathy. Read I think it's The Money Mafia by Paul Hellyer, the former Canadian Prime Minister, or one of his conferences when he's actually talking of how they communicate by telepathy, that many of the presidents of the United States were actually contacted by extraterrestrials by telepathy, right? So it seems kind of science fiction until it happens to you. And I explain all that once again in my angel pack, how I'm completely talking telepathically with many of my friends, many people, and that even when it started happening to me, I wouldn't believe it until I had proofs and proofs and proofs and proofs and proofs to even convince myself. So it's normal that if it took me so much time to even convince myself of things that happened to me, that for other people that it would take even longer to believe it. You know what I mean? So let's not be mad at the others. You know, when my friends would tell me, no, you're crazy and stuff, I'm like, I get it. I get it. I wouldn't believe it either if someone would tell me, right? So when you have all of this evidence, it took years then to prepare the global population, right? That's why you have a Gaia TV now. Slowly it's expanding. You have more and more channels, Forbidden Knowledge, but I'm also registered to other programs like Portal to Ascension, Golden Alchemy. All these are pages where they naturally, like it's completely normal. It's like the Galactic in France. The first one was the La Presse Galactique, the Galactic Press. Well, it's completely normal to give the news from the universe and these other beings, aliens and stuff like that, you know. So it's becoming more and more mainstream and becoming more and more normalcy. And so this division, we're filling the gap that is becoming less and less, because the governments now, they realize they can't just impose their laws. It's just like when my husband joined the military, you know. I mean, when I met him, and I was like, but you know what? At first I was anti-military because in my head it was like the war and people trying to impose their rules, you know. And then I was like, but no, it's actually our role. We will always need the military. You know, when something happens, we're happy that they actually come and help us. That you have guys that sacrifice their life, their families, their time, everything to learn at the highest level and go help and manipulate all these defense system, all this technology. So I always say it. Yes, there will always be bad guys. We will always need the military, but more and more, let's say in a percentage, the military will become more and more technology, right? And manipulating the technology, exploring new worlds and universes, or even our Earth, or the science of healing, right? It says that, for example, in Guadeloupe, there are these underwater stations where they have like super developed healing machines, right? That, you know, like in the sci-fi movies, you just literally, if you have a cancer, or you have like some deep sicknesses that is still difficult for us to cure, you get in this like, it's like a UV thing machine, you get in there and it just recodes like all of your cells, and then you're healed. So this is possible, but this is this exploration and this building the bridge. So this is all about this today. It's like building this bridge, not trying to go over this separation and this bridge, and building this bridge, right? So my husband, I told him, I was like, yes, I'm happy that you're inside the Navy, because the goal is not to follow every rule. The goal is to, of course, you have to have a framework, but the goal is also to evolve the rules, to change the things from the inside, this is how you reach at the highest level, right? If you're able to change a policy in the military, or to change, for example, imagine during COVID, like every single military had to have at least 2 or 3 shots of COVID. Otherwise, they would have to separate. Okay? Do you think that everybody was happy about that? You know? No, but it's protocol, it's orders, it's protocol. And I'm not saying that they're doing it on purpose to kill people. It's just, if the government says, okay, we have something that can protect, okay, all of the military, and we have to treat everybody right, okay, there can be exceptions, so they have to implement it at the most massive level. So this is why now, by building this bridge, you imagine the amount of shots that the military takes. Or for example, they are completely prevented from using marijuana, right? So many of them, what do they do to compensate with the stress? They drink. Okay, it's actually proven that alcohol makes you more aggressive, makes you more lethargic, and it has more damages on the brain than actually smoking. Why? It's easy. It's because you can't oversmoke. Like, you can't oversmoke. You smoke, and if you're like way too, if once you smoke and you feel good, you stop. The drinking, it just calls to more and more and more, right? So this is kind of like policies that I think over the years we have to also fight to help them. If you have new solutions to prevent them from having shots after shots after shots, then we have to work on that. If you can implement that they accept medical marijuana, that is proven that they have anxiety, and instead of drinking and becoming even more anxious or violent and stuff like that, they can actually start consuming CBD. I'm not saying marijuana, because you can give weed to people who are using weapons. You can minimize the damage that you can do with a weapon, right? But I don't. But so, I'm talking about this because, for example, I saw the other day that they adjusted their policy about the shaving, right? Before that, you have to shave. If you're not shaved, you can literally be separated from the Navy. And now they adjusted that, right? So it's like bringing kind of more flexibilities on things that everyday stress that does not necessarily need to be, but by showing, improving not just the quality of the work, but the quality of the personal life. And this is why they have this fleet and family, they have services, they have everything to help, the families, because it's hard. You're in the Navy, you move every 2 years, every year, 2 or 3 years, sometimes 5 years. So for the rest of the family that follows around, it's not always easy to start over and over and over. So imagine the amount of work for government to actually implement policies for everybody. It's impossible. There will always be people not happy with something, or a gap, or whatever. So instead of being like, when I see them like administrating COVID shots, and I'm like, oh, at first my reaction would be, oh, look, they're trying to sell their medicine, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, no, these poor guys, they have to they need help. They need us to come offer solutions, offer the bridge, right? And all of that. And it's only progressive, like I'm saying about the alien thing, right? It's over the generations that more and more people now accept it as normalcy. So yeah, it takes time, but it takes also a lot of us, to build that bridge and work together. So yeah, happy birthday, the chiefs. So when they become chief, they have this crazy process of like for a month where they have like super high intensity trainings, wake up 3 in the morning, they do team building activities, they have to read so much, like protocols, what happens if you're in this country, if you're in danger, how to evaluate your situation, and this is stuff that I even learn in my own trainings, in my own life. When you go to another country, the best is to merge with the local population, to understand from the culture, and once again, to honor diversity, but go past the differences, right? That's great. So after that, they graduate, right? They have their chief ceremony, and then they become part of the mess. So it's so funny because the mess is their how do you call it, their reunion place, right, where all the chiefs go, and it's like they become brothers and sisters. So it's like a fraternity, okay? And then after that, wherever they go, they have their fraternity of brothers and sisters. So once you become the chief, it doesn't matter if you're a chief, a senior chief, a master chief, like even a master chief, they're a chief. You're a chief, right? And this is part of this community. So it's pretty cool. This is something that maybe you didn't know, or I didn't know unless I was in there, So yeah, happy birthdays. Okay, I also want to invite. So actually, I wrote to the Navy to offer workshops, right? To offer workshops and team building training. Like I say, to bring these art, technology, science, bring all that into the military context and learn also from them, right? So we learn from each other, like make the best work with the best and fill the gap, like Tony Robbins would say. And one thing that's super important, like, that Dean Graziosi always says, is like, be the thermostat in the room, not the thermometer. And, even if it seems like a super simple image, that always stick with me. I remember it because it's true. Be the thermostat, okay? If you have a certain energy or a conflict, it's too easy to be like, oh, it's like this. Okay, I'm gonna behave like this. I'm gonna respond. I'm gonna mirror that. While if you want to elevate really and bring improvement, you have to be the thermostat, which means, oh, this is the energy in the room. No, let's reprogram that. I'm gonna bring the energy that I want in the room. And this is a work that I do every day. And even with my ex-husband, it's the hardest when it's in your personal relationship, because you can never like cut from that. So it's like constant. If it's a trigger and it's stacking, then it's harder. But you can apply it to your work life, you can apply it to your personal life, your relationship, family life, but you can also apply this at the collective level, a massive level. For example, there is a war going on, or there is like a country attacking another country, whatever. So what do? Do we fight fire with fire? Or do we try to bring some water? In French we say to put some water in your wine, to bring conflict resolution and bring peace, because this small thing, don't forget that they're human, okay? They're still humans. So even if they're super trained, there's still a whole bunch of humans that you have to coordinate all together, and actions can be irreversible. We've had nuclear bombs back in the day, and they still exist. Okay, this is not to be taken lightly. When you have a guy or Russia like attacking a country, like, we're not playing like battlefield, like it's real. That can bring damages to the earth that are irreversible. So it's important that every one of us already feel good in our individual mindset, but also be able to adjust the energy of the room by working together as a team, but also as how you deal with your concurrents, your enemy, your opposite, or simply collaborators, other countries, right? Because we're all trying to work as one world, one society. So how do you, as this, I think it's at the political level also, but I think if all the soldier, what makes me wonder is like in Russia, when they started attacking Ukraine, and I don't know exactly what is the state of the conflict at the moment right now, it's just things that are coming to my mind. The soldiers in Russia, when Putin said, okay, we're gonna go attack the Ukraine, right? Most of the people were manifesting, like rioting in front of the Kremlin, right, and said, no, we don't agree with that. We don't agree with that. So the soldiers, they have the choice to say, no, we're not doing this. No, I have a person in front of me. I'm not going to kill them. Okay. And this is why also the strategy of Russia was to, at first, it was just like more a protection policy, like, oh, let's get closer to the border. Like, they brought the soldier closer to the border of Ukraine. No, it's just surveillance, it's just protection, like, because the soldier slowly had to convince the soldier to slowly go. If they would tell the soldiers, oh, hey, we're gonna attack Ukraine tomorrow for no apparent reason, the soldiers would be like, what? Probably some of them that are brainwashed will do it. But the smartest ones would be like, wait a minute, why am I given an order that makes no apparent sense of bringing violence and war when my job is to bring peace? Okay, so they have a first step, like getting closer to the border, and then, okay, now we're invading Ukraine. Okay, now we're gonna bomb there and stuff like that, which I still don't understand why you would go and bomb civilians, like, or even anyone else. Why does it still exist? Seriously. If you have an asteroid coming straight to the Earth, this is when you get a weapon to blow that thing from the space. Like, this is the defense system that we need to fight against natural catastrophes, which I believe the less war there will be, the more peace there will be in human consciousness, the less natural catastrophes there will be, because we are connected to the Earth. And how do we switch nuclear energy to free energy, solar energy? I did a conference with Adam. You can check my Chakra Adventure. It's free. There is relation between each of our energy centers, the chakras, at the individual level and at the collective level as well. So it's very foundational work and interviews, even though we could speak for hours, but to give at least the basics, and then if you're interested, you can make your own research and also connect more and more with your own intuition, right? So how do we transform all of this energy into solar? You know why I went to Peru in the first place? Because I broke my arm one day when I was 19, and I was literally just walking. It's crazy because sometimes things happen. I was not doing any, I was coming back from a hike in the mountain, actually. I was coming back from a hike with my dog and a friend. It went super well, and I'm literally walking back to my house. I'm in front of the door to my apartment complex, and it's flat, completely flat, like just a little tiny thing like that. But it just rained and the floor is slippery. And I'm walking, and I fall, but like in the cartoons, like, when like they fall like on the banana, and like they have like their feet up, and it's like dramatic fall and stuff like that. And slowly I'm walking, and I slip, and I fall, and I break my shoulder, dislocated, broken, and twisted. Like the whole, I had my arm like this, like coming out, like that was just like horrible. I just wanted to die. The pain was so much. I never experienced that. Actually, the pain if you want to know how it feels like, if you've never broken anything, it's like, you know, when you hit your, when you hit your knee or your toe on a corner, like you're walking and you eat just that soft spot on the knee that shocks your entire knee, right? Or your little toe and it shocks, right? So this is the first level of pain. So this is how it feels. So it feels like that. And so, when you hurt your knee, for example, it shocks your knee and you're like, ah, and slowly it fades down, right? That was the opposite. So it shocks you like that, it's so painful, and slowly it gets worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point that I literally feel like I have my arm, I have a tiny string holding a tree, like a giant wood thing, right? Like I feel like my arm is weighing like 200 pounds and it's just on this little string right here, and it's just like so painful. So I go to the hospital, I do the scan, everything, then I get a surgery like the next day, the next day or 2 days after. Like I think I get surgery, and I get a little pocket thing, right, to stay like this. Pretty much, I stay like this for 6 months. But I started the physical therapy right away, right? But pretty much, this was the day before I start the university, my bachelor's degree, the first year of my bachelor's degree. And the day before, so of course I can't drive, I can't write. What am I gonna be doing? I can't write for my exams and nothing. So I ended up having to stay home. So for 6 months I stayed home, and so I was binge watching this series, The Mysterious Cities of Gold, with a little boy called Esteban, and they have this giant golden condor that works with solar energy. And this is with this giant condor animated by solar energy that they end up finding the cities of gold and stuff like that. I don't remember the whole thing, but I binge watched this. And why that? I'm drawing. It's funny. It's crazy. See, everything happens for a reason. And I'm here and I'm drawing because I can't, like, after physical therapy, I'm starting to be able to draw, right? I can't like drive or just write essays, but while I'm watching my thing, I can start like drawing a little bit. So that's what I did for 6 months. I binge watched that, and I started drawing the drawings, the crayon stuff that I have here. This is from that time. And and this is when I decided that I was passionate about Machu Picchu, I was passionate about Peru. And so in the end, I could skip that year. That was funny because I did some postgraduate studies before that, and I could validate that to skip straight to the second year. So I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. Like I didn't do the first year, which actually didn't matter because I still graduated it and could skip to the second year. And I was like, this is perfect. I didn't even waste a year. I just relaxed for a year. I learned to draw, and I learned where I was gonna go. So yeah, the mysterious cities of gold, the solar energy. So you see, even in these cartoons that talk, they were already starting to plant seeds in the consciousness of the solar energies, of the prophecies, of the history, So yeah, that was pretty good. I don't even know why I'm telling this story about the solar energy. Yeah, the Chakra Adventure. And then, yes, I'm always trying to do shout outs on my page to recommend, the people who can actually help you build knowledge and confidence and build bridges in all the areas of life, right? And I'm sorry if I forget friends, because sometimes I feel like it's cool to do a shout out and say, oh, I love all my inspirations, brothers and sisters and stuff, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this person, I forgot about this friend, and like I don't do it to offend or exclude, I mean, come on. Um, but yeah, it's like the people I'm working with or who uplift my energy at the moment that I'm sharing with you. Okay, so let's do a little reading of my oracle. Okay, so the next thing is I want to invite you to my Flower of Life art retreat. Okay, May 4th to May 8th at my house. We're going to do painting, talk about just that, all of these topics, right? While we're painting, learning about the flower of life, learning about these symbols. I'm actually going to talk about that in the interview with Saba, which we had to reschedule. You see, never announce your plans. Show your results. Okay, the movie is done. I have to save it now today. Yes, the movie. Okay, so the Flower of Life Art Retreat, we're going to do that from May 4th to May 8th. And you can extend for 3 more days until May 11th. Okay, if you want, the 3 extra days will be for tourism, going out to restaurant places, chill by the pool, really like no creative outcome, right? Just like personal enjoying, chills and stuff. But it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna tell you everything. I'm gonna show you all of my books. Oh my god, I have an amazing library. I have the most amazing library. Like, if I could, I would just spend an entire month or just reading and taking notes and recording videos, which is kind of what I do already. But I also want to create at the same time. So yeah, you can register from my website, the pachamamart.org/flower of life. Flower of Life Art Retreat with a little dash in between all of them. If you're interested in talking about all of these topics that I just showed, doing team building events, please write to me on my email, pachamamart1111@gmail.com. I will go to your facility, your office, unless it's a small group of 6 persons, 6 to 8 or 6 to 9 persons. You can come. I can arrange to my house. It's easier for me because I have everything, so I can bring a little food, all this stuff. But if it's a larger groups, like 20 people, 30 people, I can also come to your facilities, bring everything, it's going to be around painting, around creating, but also doing team building activities to develop connection, personality, psychology, strategy, all of this stuff in a fun way, right? That allows you to shut down the resistance. Yes, the resistance, because let's say you're at work. Let's imagine. I see, for example, with my ex-husband, because we've been separated for so long and still around each other. Like, imagine you're around someone that there is a tension, right? If there is a tension with people, you like to disconnect and having your own space. But when you're forced to be around each other for so long, like, the least amount of triggers will, trigger and like badly. So anything that they say, anything that they do, you have already this resistance, right? And so it's so much harder to go past it, because once you build the wall, it's if someone comes, your house was like a bulldozer, or you're not gonna be that excited. But if it's done in a fun way, okay, through something that they don't really have. So what I'm saying that, because imagine at work, if you have maybe tensions in the group, and not necessarily something negative, but you want to re-dynamize, okay? And if it's based on work, you can have this stress. If someone is stressed about work, for example, and we're here making a meeting, okay, it can be stressful, you can have resistance. While if it's something you're bringing art, we're just gonna do mandalas today, we're just gonna have fun, creating something, so you don't have the resistance. So this is when you can squeeze in, the concept, the reprogramming, the knowledge, all of this stuff, while you're painting, because you're opening your channel. You're not resisting, you're not closing, you're opening your channels, you're working with your inspiration, and so you're more welcome, more prepared, fertile, right, to welcome the new programmings. So this is why kind of like the topic of the team buildings, and then bringing all of these book recommendations, programs, the people, redirecting to my products, right, that are completely magical, because I keep saying it. The science is optimal, because it's the proof, it's the evidence, right? It's the foundation. But then we need love. Okay, what is that everybody needs? We need love, and we need purpose. Okay, even if you have love, even if you have success, even if you have your family, everything, if you don't have a purpose, or something that, and everybody has a different purpose. Okay, for some people, for example, family is super important. Their purpose is to be a mother that is here every day for their children, and I think every mother has kind of that purpose as well, but something that's meaningful to you. Okay, my purpose is to have magic in my life. Okay, if I want the love, I want the success, I want the well-being, the health of my family, but what makes my life incredible, that exciting, is the magic. The magic when I feel this magical connection with someone, when I see this crazy synchronicity, like I'm writing something and it literally appears like right in front of me, or I see something I wrote like 3 years ago, or someone wrote or recorded, and now you see it's actually happening right now. I'm like, oh my god, I was actually time traveling, like my consciousness was time traveling at this point. And then you're like, whoa, okay, how between, I don't want to fall into the rabbit hole because this is crazy. Like when you're watching this Interstellar, this is probably my favorite movie scene. It's in Interstellar, when he's in between of these timelines, right? And he's pulling the strings of timelines like that. He's connecting, like, I love that movie because there's so many like dimension within dimensions, and this is really like that. This is really like that. And so then you become an investigator of the world. You're like, wow, we will never have enough knowledge. One of us can do it alone. We need to have all of us, all of these communities. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to do this, 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 and then I see someone else does it, and I'm like, you know what, good. Because we, and someone does it at the other side of the world, and it's great because we need pillars everywhere. Okay. And then you have people who will resonate strongly with me because I'm a woman, because I'm a little crazy, magical, and so they will want to work with me. And I have another friend also who is so beautiful. Her page is Crystalline Creatrix. And she's so pure and all zen, and we're doing pretty much the same thing. And I'm like, some people definitely will resonate more with her because she has all this cute magic and natural like smile and meditation, which is not really my thing. It's literally we're studying the same topics, the same offers, but it's two different energies. I'm more into like, oh my god, I'm such a mess, like how do I transmute my crazy mess? And I show my mess, and if you're a crazy messy French frog or whatever, maybe you identify with me, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, oh no, I'm already enough mess in my life, I don't need that. I need someone who is peaceful, who has it aligned, who you know. So there is for everybody. And uh yes, yes. Okay, so let's do a little reading. So the team buildings, the Flow of Life art retreat, and the last thing is the movie. The movie is ready. Yes, we're adding an interview at the end from Saba Rad. Her channel is all about energy on YouTube, and she did an interview, amazing, with Matthias De Stefano when they were on a cruise. And this is literally exactly what I was missing for. I didn't know I was missing it, but when I saw the interview, I was like, oh my god, please let me put this in the movie. This would be a perfect compliment. So I'm editing at the end, you know, kind of like, you know, these Marvel movies when you watch till the end, and then after the rolly thing, generic, how do you say in English? The cast and stuff, you have this like extra key moment scene, right? So this is how I'm gonna put it. I think I'm gonna put it at the end because he's talking about exactly that, like what's gonna happen after and how to build a bridge between the people and stuff. So it's a good opening. Okay, so to give you some details, and the movie will be very laid back. You know, it's take the time to watch it. If you're still watching after 46 minutes, congratulations. It means we resonate in the same energy frequency, so you will love the movie. And the movie is about this. It's about absorbing the light codes, absorbing the it's an educational movie. Okay, it's educational. You will learn so much. It's like 12,000 years of knowledge, like reappearing, and through art, geometry, conferences, music. He's an amazing Matthias De Stefano. I didn't even know until I was there. He's an amazing musician. They did concert, they rocked it in front of the Sphinx and the pyramids. That was just incredible. And I recorded everything, documented everything. So you're watching the movie, it's like you're going to Egypt. It's like you're going to be at the event. You're traveling to Egypt. You're going to be there with us at the event. You're going to soak in the same energy, learn. So don't miss a second of it. Watch it, not while you're on your phone or distracted. You know, when I go to Dean's trainings, it's sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 3 hours. We did the best training in the world, the Impact Accelerator Live in February. That was just amazing. Last year they did the Own Your Future Challenge. That was just like the best, one of the best weeks of my life. Like I was blown away. You know, when you see the level, you know what amazed me? I'm amazed by a lot of things. Like I'm like a child, you know, but amazed me is the level of people. Like when I see high level in whatever field that you're in, but when I see people that like push their art, their mastery to such incredible level and able to connect people like that, I'm just like, ah, wow. You know, he was the people he invited, the things that were said, the way he's turning the words, it was connecting to so many people. And wow, like you're transformed when you watch these trainings, you know. But it's like all day, it's like sometimes an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, sometimes it's like 7 hours, 9 hours. Tony Robbins is doing the Unleash the Power Within in July. It's like 4 days for 10 hours. It's good. So if you're really committed into pushing, learning, transforming yourself, the time is, you know, you're watching the moment. There is just one time, there is just one moment, you know. So this connection, this elevation of the consciousness, of the motivation, the inspiration, just like when I'm painting, the time stops. It's like the time stops and opens. It's crazy. It stops and it opens up at the moment to this other dimension, and then you're this being connected to everything, and you're like, wow, I'm magical, even though they're magical, but they make you feel like you're magical, and this is when they're really good because wow. Okay, so it's like, yeah, go follow the training. This is, I'm still not selling, I'm still bad at marketing. Even though I feel like I'm doing it right. I feel like I'm learning from the best and I'm reproducing these best things, but maybe, you know it's gonna be at the right time, I guess. It's like all sitting there, and then one day you discover, you go to my website and you're gonna be like, whoa, this is like mandala land in here, what's going on? And yeah, you should. Okay, let's pick 2 cards for my oracle, the Mother Earth Mandala Oracle. Okay, good 5-minute session today again. Flower of the Wind. 6. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so see, another example of magic. Another example of magic. See, the flower, look at the painting I have right behind me. It's the same color. It's the same color with the same frame. You see how I have like different like raised colors, and the frame of that is the same. Okay, and I'm in life path 6. So 6 is my number. 6 is the number of service, of family. Okay, so I'm actually gonna record this, add this session to my angel pack, because I thought I was gonna come say hi for 5 minutes, and I'm gonna post it maybe for a few days, but then I'm gonna remove it and I'm gonna post this on my angel pack, because there's a lot of content in this. Talk about numerology. Life path 6. The number of service, the number of family. So when I did this training about numerology a few years ago in 2015, when he said that, he said, oh, 6 is the number of family, 6 is the number of service. And I wrote to him, while we were in the YouTube chat, and I said, it's weird because this doesn't really resonate with me at all. Like, I'm actually running away from my family. Like, I've never been my family. Everybody's just arguing. Everybody's just criticizing each other all the time. It's super negative. It's like people want to be right. And it's like literally my family. Like, I left my house at 17 as soon as I could go live somewhere else or travel to another country. I was like, I'm better off by myself and doing my own experiences and education, even though I like them, I guess. I love them. I mean, I love my family, but it was just like, let's say I love my family, but it wasn't really how my vision of a family. You know what I mean? I was like, it's not like we call each other. I see my best friend Alice, her and her mom, they would be on the phone, like maybe too much, like every 5 minutes. I love you. They watch the kids every Wednesdays. They do family reunions all the time. They eat, they get drunk, they go on trips and stuff. No, my family is not like that. Like, we barely ever call each other. And so I was like, oh, is this what's the family? Like, you can't really count on each other. Like sometimes you talk to someone and just all they care about is talk about themselves, like after a 40 minutes conversation, they don't even ask you how you're doing. All these thing that I was like, I don't really resonate with this family thing. And then he was like, yeah, but don't look at the people around you, look at who you are. It's like, are you this kind of person? Because it's funny, because he was talking and when he was explaining and he was coughing, he was like like he's starting having for a few minutes this, and I wrote to him and I was like, hey Julien, you want me to make you some tea? I'm gonna make you some tea with some honey, for your throat, like joking, like it was online. And then he says, you see, when, for example, you're the kind of person, like people will come to your house and you offer, hey, do you want some tea? You're taking care of people, and this is the number of service. It doesn't mean you have a family, like what your family you were born with, but who you become and the family you want to create around you, and this is why now I am so maybe too much, always I see like focus on you, stop looking for approval for other people and stuff. It's not so much that I'm looking for approval, it's more like this is my way, I guess, to create a family, to tell people, what I didn't have, like people telling me, my God, what you're doing is awesome, yeah, continue doing this. Even my mama, she was always supportive, right? But yeah, this is awesome what you're doing. Oh my God, you're amazing. Only my grandma would tell me all of my life that I'm amazing. This is the only person who ever told me, oh, you're amazing, and I was like, oh, it's just because she's my grandma, like you don't even believe it. And I was like, because I didn't have that, like people would tell me, hey, we're here for you, anything, you call us, let us know, you have it. We're here, you can stay with us. It's literally like, for example, um, then, yeah. Like let's take an example. For example, so my family, they're my friends, right? The people I meet, and then I want to make them feel this way. This is why I'm like that, because I want to give that, make people feel like that, because I know how much is needed in one's life. So people, they come to my retreats here, and I'm like, I'm giving them tea, I'm making little like donut bites, little breakfast things for them, and I'm like spoiling them a little bit, and then everybody's excited. I'm like, oh, you're coming to my house, you're my guest, it's like family. And for example, one day we were it was Christmas, and I had my friend Marie-Luz and her husband and kids. I don't know if they had kids yet. And they were in Normandy. No, they were in Paris at the time, and I was visiting my grandmother and my grandfather in France, in Normandy, right, with my mom for Christmas. And so they were by themselves. I'm talking to my friend Marie-Luz on the phone, and I'm like, oh, you're by yourself for Christmas? Oh my God, well, you come spend Christmas with us. We're going to have a family reunion here with everybody. Just drive here, come over, and you spend Christmas with us. You can stay here or whatever. I'm like, normal, right? And then I say this to my grandparents. I'm like, oh, by the way, I invited, is that okay? Like, I invited my friends. They're by themselves. They don't have their family with them. They're just the two of them. They're going to come spend Christmas. And I wasn't expecting, like, they were like, what? No, like, they're not family. Like, Christmas is just for the family. And, no, and they were like really negative about it. And I was like, but they are my family. Like, I don't make a difference. It's not because we don't have the same bloodline that we're not family. Family is just so much more than the blood, And I was like, well, if they can't come, then I'm gonna go with them. I'm gonna spend Christmas with them. And so then in the end, we invited them and they came, and afterwards they were like, oh, they were so nice, they were so lovely, and after that, another experience with my same grandparents, which I was excited because I was like, you see, I brought a little bit of open mindfulness, let's say, in the family. And then after that, I went to Peru, and I had my friend Sheila, who is like the sweetest, oh my God, the sweetest girl in the world. And it's funny, you see the card is the flower of wind, and it represents like the cardinal points, right? South, north, south, east, west. And I'm actually telling you my stories of my life around the world, my family around the world. Isn't that crazy how I didn't even plan that. It's just I'm channeling the card. This is Why am I saying that? This is the information that needs to be put out there right now. The wind is traveling us. We're putting seeds. When I put seeds of mindfulness, in my family. So I was in Peru. I lived there for almost 2 years. And so Shella, she was working with me at the French school, the French Peruvian school of Lima. And she was the sweetest, sweetest angel, seriously, that I've never met, I think, a kinder, sweetest person. And she wants to go study in France, and she has an opportunity to go study in Rouen, where my grandparents are. And I'm yawning, so is this getting boring? And I'm like, oh, well, if you go to Rouen, I have family there, you can totally stay with them, because you go to a country by yourself, that's not your country. Like when I went to Peru, I was grateful that my friend Helga let me stay with her for 3 weeks, close to a month, I think, until I could find my own apartment, right? Even though I was traveling most of the months and stuff, but I still went there and I had a place. You imagine you get in a city, you don't know any area, you don't know how the transportation works, you don't have no family, no one to call. It makes a difference. You have someone comes, and when I was in Nice, after every time I would meet strangers, foreigners and stuff, I was like, oh, I'm gonna meet you, I'm gonna travel you all around, I'm gonna show you everything. And so I call my grandparents and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I have my friend Sheila, she's gonna come live in France for a year to do her master's degree in this exchange program, can she stay with you? So you can imagine my old school grandparents, that they're like, what? Oh, I don't know. Let me think about it. And this time they were not like, no, they were like, oh, I don't know. Okay, let me think about it. And I tell them all that. I'm like, come on, she's super nice. She can help you. And I tell my friend Sheila, I'm like, is that okay? If you go live with them for free, you can help my grandma maybe a little bit for grocery shopping, and, just make them feel um, they're gonna profit also from the situation, because they don't know you. And she's like, of course, yes. And even though I wouldn't tell her anything, she would have done it, because she's naturally like that, she. And so I tell my grandma, she's gonna help you do stuff. You're not getting that younger, she started having vision problems and stuff. So that was actually freaking perfect. Wow, what about divine timing, right? And so she travels there and she stays with my grandparents, and to the point that she becomes the granddaughter. I'm like, what's going on? Now she's taking my spot, because every time I would be on the phone with my grandma, she's like, oh yeah, so Shella and I, we did this, oh yeah, and Shella, we did that, and Shella, she's so amazing. I'm like, sure, no, joking. But in the end, that was amazing. She stayed with them, I think for a few months, and then they helped her, my aunt helped her find her own apartment, and then now we became family, even after my grandma passed away. And that was it's crazy. You see how everything happens for a reason, because the year that Sheila was there was, I think, the last year of my grandma, I think, because shortly after that, I don't remember if Sheila was still in France or not, but my grandma passed away. This is when she couldn't see really anymore. So this was like an angel sent to her to help her and bring her, company and stuff. And so after my grandma passed away, even Sheila went back to Peru, and now I think she's married and stuff. My grandpa went to her family to visit them. My grandfather by himself went 3 weeks in Peru to see them. I was like, when I was in Peru, nobody came to visit me except my dad, right? That ended up being constant fight. No, but that was kind of nice. And but the funny, I don't know, I just liked it. I just liked how it just built family, and it opened my grandparents, to do things that they never had done before. Just kind of, sometimes you have to open up your comfort zone a little bit, and it unlocks, all the your mind, your consciousness. Oh my God, they're all about Sheila. My grandfather, he always talks to me, oh, Sheila this, Sheila, they love her. They're like part of the family now. You know, so family. So the number 6, number of family. So if you don't know anything about numerology, and this is a trick from Lulumineuse that I follow. She's a French conferencer, writer. She does like so much stuff actually, like it's hard to put in a box what she does, but she has a website in France, and she did this numerology, I think, workshops, or one day in one of her conferences she was explaining, and I always remember that if you don't know anything about the numerology, how you can visualize, understand the meaning, the energy of the numbers. You look at the shape, just like a geometry. You look at the shape. Okay, so for example, number 7. Okay, so am I doing the right way? Bringing heaven on earth. Heaven, okay, the 7, you see the bar on the top, the sky, right? The heaven coming down, okay, anchoring, coming down, so bringing heaven on earth. Okay, so it's a number, it's a angel number of like connecting with the energy of the masters, of the divine, and bringing all that on earth. If you look at number 8, is infinity, right? What goes around comes around, the energy of the divine, that you're grounded, and like the energy you're putting out is also the energy you receive, the energy you transmute, you're putting out. It's like this circuit of energy, right? This is number 8. Then number 9 is kind of the same. It's literally, it's the number 9 is the highest mastery number, right? It's like the full circle of mastery, of spirituality, right? That you're grounding on earth. And the 6 is the opposite. The 6 is literally like the family, right? What the divine on earth. Okay, so you have this anchor to the sky, but the loop, the circle, the pocket is on the floor, is grounded to the earth, right? So what is it you're creating, okay, with your divine gift or consciousness that you're linked with, but mostly the most part of it is at on the ground. So what do you create here? What is your circle on earth? Your circle, your family, right? So number 6. Then if you look at number 5, it looks kind of like a wheel, right? It looks kind of like a wheel, like on direction, right? The 5 is a number of movement, is transition, moving, transition, travel. Okay, so this is why when you look at my cards in my oracle, they always have the number corresponds, is also, I picked certain numbers for certain cards. Okay, so the card 25, for example, which is exploration, I wanted to have a 5 in that card because it's the travel card. Okay, the 2, well, the 2 is like the group, the connection, the collaboration. Okay, number 1 is the pillar, right? The antenna. How do we connect everybody? How do we make one? So you see how you can, and the 4 is the foundation. Okay, if you look at the square, if you look at a pyramid, okay, even if it looks like a triangle, the base of a pyramid is a square. The base of a house, of the building, has 4 angles, right? It's got to be flat. So the 4 is the number of foundation. So in this group, you have the architects, the scientists, the mathematicians, the builders, right? For example, people, a worker, like someone who works in building, des ouvriers, how do you say, the mano de obra, the workforce. All these are number 4. The structure, military, you may have, if your life path 4, there is a chance you will become one of these foundational builders, right? The people who are square, accountants, for example, someone who needs to be square and establish rules and follow rules. Military, accountants, architects, all these foundational. right? A square. Yeah, then if you're a number 8, you might be like a more a free bird, like infinity, very connected, like maybe a psychologist. Or, and once again, it's not like putting people in cases, but it's not just your life path number. It's actually, if you look at the numerology, which we are going to have a numerology workshop during my Flower of Life art retreats, the last day, because it's based on every single numbers of your date of birth, of your name. Each letter corresponds to a number and all of that. And then you look, you literally have a number profile of your identity, right? A code, like a matrix that you can analyze from your date of birth and your name. You can analyze a full giant sheet of paper where you have everything, your personality profile, your challenges and goals, different parts of your life. It's super interesting. It's super interesting because maybe you're not a number 4, but you look at your astral birth chart and numerological theme, right? And there's like 4s everywhere, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Why, maybe you're a number 2 or maybe you're a number 5, but there's so many 4s in your theme that it explains where your personality, you're very square like that. All right. And it's funny because many of the people that I've been connecting with for these past years are number 1, life path 1. And yeah, it's kind of like, hey, how are you? What's your name? Okay, let me calculate your life path real quick. But because I'm always like, we are one consciousness. And so I don't know, I just attracted ones, it's like the 1111. The 1111 is also the number of the awakening. I started seeing the 1111 when I was in Peru. Before that, but then this is when I started connecting with the numbers as well. So in everything, okay, so flower of the wind, yes, and the flower of life also has 6 petals. Okay, so let's see what this card says. That was an hour, okay, talking about this small card, but you see, you can interpret this oracle card is great because it's an invitation to interpretation, to connect, you see, to channel your own truth, your own healing consciousness. Flower of the wind. Okay, there is a fresh wind outside singing a song for you. If you can find a moment of peace and silence, you'll be able to hear its whispered message of love and pride. Crazy. Navy chip, navy pride. Yay! It's all ties up together. We're all a piece of the puzzle. The wind is proud to carry your beautiful soul from one adventure to the next. Today, remember that you are loved and supported in every circumstances. Through the power of your intention, determine clearly the direction you want for your life. Define your goals and priorities. Then imagine yourself as light as a flower, flying in the air, and see where the wind takes you. Just open your eyes and follow the signs. Cool. You see, this is also a good discussion, controversial card, because this is good. These are good conversation starters. Okay, you see, from a card like that, then you can open up a theme. Like, do you agree with that? Like, do you want to go? Are you more of a go with the flow, or take control? Take control of your ship. How do you find the balance between being a control freak, of like having everything under control, and actually opening to synchronicities, opening to surprises? Most of the time in my life, when I think I had a plan, I was like, I want to do this. This is not what happened. Because most of the stuff happened like by surprise, or it's like I have a plan, but then something shows up that ends up being better, or you don't know the how. If you Sometimes it's good to know your vision, right? Your vision and where you want to go, or but mostly it's true. It's good to know who you are, what you believe in. I think more than what, where, how, control every aspect of everything. Because when you know who you are, what you love, what you are true to, then the synchronicities will appear and guide you to it, and you have to be able to receive it. Like, for example, today we were supposed to do this conference. We were both ready to start, and it wasn't working, and we're like, okay, let's not force it. Well, we tried and tried and tried, and then we're like, okay, it's gonna be for another day. She had another meeting. But like I was saying, for the movie wasn't working 2 weeks ago. I tried a little bit to force it, and then it didn't, and I ended up having it better because now I have an amazing interview to add to the movie. Okay, so be open also to receive the guidance from the universe. If you want to have a divine path, then you need to make the bridge between your humanity and your purpose and your dreams and and what the divine also has scheduled program for you. An easy way to see it is that your imagination, you don't know what you don't know. So for example, when I wanted my dream house, I was like, well, I want a house like this, I want a house like this, like this, like this, but and I actually ended up having every single thing in my house that one day I described my dream house, and there is every single detail of it in this house. This is crazy. But if I would ask the real estate agent like what I wanted, I wouldn't say that, because in my mind I was like, this is impossible to find a house like this in our budget. It has too much. It's impossible. So I wouldn't even describe that. I was like, oh, we want like a small home, no pool, because this is what I believed was possible, right? But then once again, the universe surprised and be like, hey, guess what? There is, it's possible, and it is. And so sometimes you envision your dream, but keeping, what I was talking about resistance. The resistance when you have an expectation or an outcome in mind, then you naturally put resistance because you're like, oh, but this is not possible, not for me, or blah blah blah. So you let's imagine I'm telling you, hey, do you know the Unalome symbol? Okay, so if you know the Unalome symbol and you've heard me talk about it before, you've seen it before, you see it in your mind right now. You actually see it right behind me. But if I'm telling you, hey, do you know the Unalome symbol, and you've never heard of it, you don't know what the heck that is, are you able to see it? Are you able to be like, oh yeah, I know? No, unless you're so connected and that you see the symbol, or sometimes you'll be like, oh my god, it's crazy, you talked to me about this, I dreamt about the symbol right now, and now I see it, and now I see the meaning of it. This happens to me all the time. I dream about something, I'm like, what is it? And then the day after, I see the thing, and I'm like, oh, that's what it was. Crazy. Like when I went to Komombo in Egypt, I had a dream about Horus and Sobek months ago, and I was like, why am I dreaming about Horus and Sobek? And then I go to Egypt, and I go to the temple, the only temple in Egypt that is dedicated to two divinities, right? Horus and Sobek. And I was blown away. I was like, wow, I was already in that timeline at this time when I dreamt about it. I was already there. And then I had a moment when I was at the temple there, that when I was like in between two dimensions, because I was like, wow, the me from the dream is here right now. Like, well, it's crazy. So if I'm telling you the universe symptom, you've never seen it, you can't imagine it in your mind, right? You don't see it. Once I see it to you, then every single time you're gonna have it in your mental screen, right? So it's the same with your dreams. It's the same with synchronicities. Like, you have a purpose, you have a vision, but most of the time you're not visualizing the optimal your divine path, because your human doesn't believe yet we've been conditioned like that we're humans, we're not gods. You're not a god, you're not humans, you're just a human. But no, we are. That was Jesus's message to, and all the masters, to tell us what is possible. We are all an extension of God. Even the Bible says it. We are an extension of God. So therefore, we are gods. We have the same powers. We have the same abilities, connection, and stuff. So, but once you believe it, and it's been proven and proven and proven repeatedly, that then you become it, right? So finding the balance between steering your ship and taking control of your life and fighting for what you like, while still being open to the synchronicities and you're better. So if you're gonna visualize something, say, I want the best, I want my best life. Okay, I want my best life, or I want the best house. When I was looking for a house, I was like, I want the best house for me. That's what I was like, I don't want to make a description. I had done it before, like by talking to someone, but I was like, I want the best house for me. And this is like exactly every single thing that I wanted in a house is there, plus the pool. Plus, I didn't want a pool because I thought it was dangerous with my child, right? I was like, I will never be able to sleep at night. Like, what if he goes outside? What if the pool and everything? And we get here, and there is this exact perfect separation. Like, you can put a net right in between the pool and the living room if you want. You can put a net that doesn't obstruct the view, that doesn't obstruct anything, but it still prevents the kids from going to the pool area. And I was like, oh my God, like, is this even real? Like, there's nothing to do. Everything is already there, and even better than what I wished. Okay, so this is the power of the mystery, right? The power of magic, of believing and listening and feeling guided. And when we found this house, actually, I know it's a long video, but I think you can all these things that took me years to believe in. I'm not saying that you should just believe my word for everything, but like, I have everything that I tell you is proven times and times and times by everything. Like, like, I'm not making up my house. When we found this house, I was just coming back from a trip to Los Angeles to see one of my best friend, Pierre, who was working there at the French school. And every year we take a trip together, and so I go to LA, and we're having the best time he's my like crazy friend, so when we're together we just do the craziest things, like like rolling like the most giant joint ever. Like, I go there, and his roommate, okay, this is like never told story. I go there, and I'm like, oh, let's go to, because weed is legal there, you can just go to the dispensary. And I'm like, hey, can we go to the dispensary? I just want to buy, a little bit of weed. Like, where I live, it's not legal, so I want to smoke a little bit. And he's like, oh wait, my roommate has like a box of it. I'm like, what? And then his roommate's like, oh yeah, they moved, and they didn't, they had all of this weed, and they didn't know what to do with it, so they just give it to me. He's like, I don't smoke, it's sitting here in my room, no one is, I don't know what to do with it, I don't even know if it's good. And literally, like, I'm like, can I see? Like, I go there, and it's like a giant box. Like, it's like a giant box full of weed. I'm like, oh, like, oh my God. Angels, the city of angels, like, wow. So I'm like, okay, can I take it? Okay, like, I take like a plastic bag. I fill that thing, and I'm like, I'm just gonna try it. I'm gonna tell you if it's good. Like, you can sell it, and or give it to someone, like kids coming out of school or things like this. Just kidding. So we roll, like we go on a challenge, right? We're gonna roll the biggest joint ever. So we roll this giant joint, and I was like, no, we're gonna go take a picture in front of the Hollywood sign. And so we go there, but after that I went paranoid. I deleted all the pictures or proofs of me ever smoking. Like, that's a shame, because they were like classified, like killed pictures. But so much fun. So anyways, a week of like fun, no concern, no responsibilities, no baby to take care of, no, freedom for a weekend. So my entire body was completely relaxed, unstressed, happy, fun. So I was in this high frequency energy. I come back to Mississippi, come back to Biloxi. We were looking for a house in Florida, and literally like the day after, we find the house. The day after, we're looking at houses. We're like, oh, let's start looking at houses. Just, we were not supposed to move for about a year. We're like, but it can take about a year for people to find a house. So we're like, let's start looking. Just, we never know. Literally, like, first we select like a few houses, 10 houses. And one of the first houses, we see this one. Daniel's like, oh, look at this house. And I'm like, no way, too big, forget it, too big. We're not going to be able to afford this. Still resistance. Why? And then I look at the pictures of the house, and I see the mandala on the floor. First picture, I'm like, and then I see this and this and this and this, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's the price? Like, we can afford this? What? Like, oh my God, crazy. Okay, well, we're taking it. Like, literally, we called the agent, and we're like, hey, we want to buy this house. Like, no visit, nothing. We're like, hey, can you Skype a visit for us, like tomorrow or whatever? Like, we want to put an offer. We want to buy this house. That's it. I don't need to see more houses. This is it. We'll take it. And so and that's it. We bought the house. I moved like a month after I was moved. I was like, okay, bye guys, bye Biloxi, Mississippi. See you. So no, but like there was other stuff going on, right? That it was good to move before. They were commissioning the ship actually, so they were going to be on the way for a year. So and we ended up thinking, wow, that was actually the perfect timing, because we had time to do the entire moving. He could take time off, do the moving, everything, and then he was pretty much just busy all the time working. So I could settle here with my son Esteban and put the house together and everything. So all this to say that it's just because I took this trip to LA, because I came back and I was in such high vibes energy that we manifested the house easy like that. I have never heard of anybody looking for a house that the process was so easy. Like, everybody I hear to go, we're looking for a house, they're like, we visited like 50 houses, 100 houses. Oh my God, we put an offer, the offer was rejected. Or, oh, we've been looking for 8 months before we found the house. So this is why we're like, oh, we need to start looking. I've never heard anybody say like, oh my God, first time we looked, we found the house, we didn't even look at something else, we bought the house on Skype, like, dream house, and we can afford it. Like, that was the craziest like story. And I was like, you see, and I tell him, I was like, you see, you can thank me that I went on the trip, because I brought the great energies, and now like we manifested that. And so that's why it's good to grind, make efforts, go past your challenges, keep going for your work. But don't forget also what brings you the joy, the excitement, because this is when your energies are going to rise. So if you have you're like, oh, I need to finish work. Yeah, you have to push yourself. I'm not saying be lazy, don't work, do just the cool things, because sometimes when you push yourself, sometimes I work for a week and I don't sleep at night, and my sleep schedule is completely messed up. But I work something I'm passionate on, and even though I'm tired, but at the end, when it's done, I'm feeling so accomplished. I'm so excited, accomplished, proud of myself. Okay, so the accomplishment is important as well, pushing yourself. But also, and I push myself because these are things that I love and that I'm passionate about. um, but also the time off, the time to enjoy yourself and stuff is very important as well, because this is when you're also rising your energies, opening up for the rest to become easier. All right, so this was my little video. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. um, Happy birthday, Navy, again. I wrote that letter today, April 1st. This is not an April Fool's. This is real, guys. I'm coming. Yeah, that was funny because it's like, wow, I always go crazy. Like, oh my God, I have like this vision and stuff. Well, we'll see. But yes, at least we're excited, right? Okay. Have a great weekend, everybody. I love you guys and see you soon.